What's up, guys? Yahooz here. So I have been looking through the coaching Discord, which I have recently set up, and Matt, you might know him as Matt 2Win, or new to Tom. It's Matt 2Win spelled backwards. He wanted me to look at this regatta right here. So considering I'm not going to have a great deal of time to do that, because I got, I'm coming back home to see family for a week, and then I got graduation, and then some other stuff over the summer. Like, I figured I'd punch this out of the way now and do a video analysis. I think it's the next best thing. Matt, you could probably, I know it's not like a one-on-one session like you'd want, but, hopefully this helps. So, we're going to start off with the first race. And I'm interested in this because Josu DC, he's a guy who's been popping up at the top of the power rankings past 2 months, and I haven't really watched him race, so I'm kind of excited to see him race. So first race, of course, we have lasers. This is a daily after all. Looks like current is pretty adverse throughout. As of now, we have a +2 shift, meaning that it's right favored, with a little bit more wind progress as you progress out left. So that's interesting. We'll have to jump ahead to see how the amount of boats really affect this. So in this situation, it looks like the shift is now +3. So what that's telling me is that at the pre-start, it's tending to shift right. So I would say it's pretty safe to battle at the boat, but you don't want to be one of those guys that gets into a position too early. You wanna jostle for a good position at the boat, especially in this adverse current, because you'll see probably some of the more experienced guys kind of swoop in at the end from around this area, because all the people that want to try to hook and get on this ley line are actually underlaying because of this current. So what's going to happen with them is they're going to get swept down, and the people out here can sort of run into this gap much more easily. I'm not saying there is going to be a gap, but because of the current, there's more likely to be a gap. So that's what you see Josu and GR do right now. Matt is sort of kind of approaching that lay. I think he's a little bit too late on this, because I think GR Guz kind of has this spot covered. We'll see though. I don't remember what flag is, but Matt can probably hope that GR sort of kind of jumps the gun, kind of doesn't hold his position, and I don't think he's going to, so Matt can just kind of swoop in there last second, and he will. So that's good for Matt. This kind of stuff that happens in adverse pressure like that, or adverse current rather. I don't agree with them tacking off, and the reason I say that is because that +3 shift kind of just turned into a 0 degree shift. So what that's telling me is that it's going to start shifting back and forth. And considering there's not much pressure differential across the course, you kind of want to be heading out left here, because you're going to be running into some more wind here. Slightly more wind, at least more consistent wind. Right now, as you can see, they're going to be running into like 7.5. These guys are going to be running to 8, 8.6 max. So these guys currently at the advantage. So then Smitty asks and HKG ask to play shifts. I guess they see something I don't. Maybe there's a little bit less current, adverse current out here, and also some more wind sort of building up, I suppose. It's hard to tell, because you have like a wind line here, but you have more consistent wind out here. I'd actually say that, I changed my mind. It looks like that you want to be going out right, just because, you got shifts, but they aren't really, the range of the shift isn't changing. So it's always going to be between +3 and 0 for the most part. And you have like that wind line out there that kind of helps out Matt and GR Guz. So I think that they actually did make a good call to start out with. I didn't really see the pressure differential. But I mean, HKG is still playing this well, because you got to keep in mind both of these boats here have to tack. HKG is kind of like casually heading toward lay. He may or may not be ahead of all of them here. Maybe not after the shift, but close call. You know, like I said, I had a little bit of difficulty kind of discerning which side was better. Definitely boat to start out with, but I wasn't quite sure if, oh, he's not going to cross. Oh, proves me wrong. Everyone's proving me wrong today. Hard to say, really, which side was going to be favored, but, yeah, it shifted over to +5, so Matt's doing well for himself now, since he actually did make it on lay, and is going to round this mark pretty much in first. I would have actually tacked there. When you get adverse pressure like that, you don't want to like luff up on the mark like that. Most of the time, you're going to fail. He winds up spinning and gets ahead anyway. That's interesting. That is very interesting. So he decides to split off here and go out course right to see if he can get something planing. I don't agree with this. You got like good planing wind out here. You know, 7.5 to 8. That's wind that you can plane in. It's like low 7s to 6.8. Like not as much. However, I do agree with the fact that you know, you want to be on this right side now because there seems to be more of a right shift than there was previously. So in that regard, Matt kind of got lucky because he's able to take that right side with ease. Josu DC, okay, so let's back up there. Josu decided that he tried sailing out in this air right here and couldn't get himself planing. So I think what he decided to do, like Yahooz does, is something called anti-planing, and that only works from 135.00 to 133.01 or something like that. So Josu's doing it right. Yahooz was going a little bit below 135, so he wasn't doing it right. Nitsutom, let me go back and see if Matt was doing it correctly, because he sort of follows suit when he sees that Josu's doing it. He's at 134, does it at 128. You're still fast that way, but like you really want to be doing it at 134 or 133 as much as possible. But that's the fastest way to sail downwind, assuming you cannot plane. And you can plane at pretty low winds. You can plane at winds as low as like 7.56, right? But not in, I guess not in these conditions. There should be enough wind really for them. Yeah, 7.5, 7.6. That should be enough wind for them to plane in theory. Maybe they just didn't get enough of their target speed. Maybe they're being covered too much. But as I mentioned before, getting this right side ultimately was the better choice. I can see why Josu wanted to go left gate because he had a little bit of pressure out here, but you know, this shift is going more and more right, so I would have liked to have seen him round the right gate to at least, you know, retain position on Matt. But who knows? Maybe he sees something out here that I don't. Ultimately, he's going to get stuck out, I think, behind GR might actually. No, I don't think GR has him here. Yeah, it's going to be close, but GR does not have him here. He tacks, he knows that. So yeah, I like the idea of like going out for wind, but you know, it's plus 14 now, right? The shift is, you have to notice kind of like these trends and shifts throughout the race. It's never static. You know, it's not going to change while you aren't looking at it. So you got to be constantly looking out for that. And Matt definitely was consistently looking out for that and has basically won the race as a result. I actually don't agree with this extra tack here. To me, it's like a little slow. I would have liked to have sit in Matt's shadow, just because you still retain position over GR. Like, had you sat in there a little longer and then tacked back, then GR might have actually gotten you. So like, I think I would have liked to have just sit on like in Matt's wind shadow so GR just can't get you, and so you can get to that right ley line, you know. So I don't agree with that, but it still works out for him, so it's fine. I wouldn't say it's optimal when you're so close to ley, but you know it's fine. Not a very smart move by GR there. Should have easily ducked. Ultimately gets taken out of the race. So Matt's able to plane now. So once you're able to plane these kind of wins, it's like really easy to continue planing. Like all he has to do is really just jibe and use his leftover momentum to start planing up again. Like he's going to be able to plane again. Yeah, see. Then again, there's a lot more wind out in here now, so all the sailors are really able to plane more than they were on the other leg. So Matt ultimately winds up winning that race. For the most part, he did everything correctly. Very good call on the right side. He kind of got a little lucky with the way the shift was going, but good job nonetheless. I think his only mistake would have been, you know, maybe trying not to separate. I can see why he separated on the first offset, because, you know, you run the risk of going out, getting on plane, and then coming back and getting covered. But that's assuming, like in those wins, if you're good enough, that shouldn't happen, because it's going to take the other person a while to plane, and also in those wins, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to continue planing. So typically, the other person won't be able to like catch up to you per se. I would have liked to try to go for a plane there, but you know, it worked out for him nonetheless, and he was able to maintain control of the right gate. So good job on him. So, second race is Cats. Kind of a little bit the opposite deal now. We got like a little bit more of a left shift going on. Looks like it might even get more left, and we have positive current going up the course, especially on this left-hand side. You also got much better pressure on the left-hand side. So I would say that the left-hand side is definitely favored right now. I know it's Cats. I know people are like, oh, it's going to be hard to tack over. You know, whoever starts a boat's basically controlling the fleet. Not when you have this much difference in wind. Like, you go straight from 12 to like 15, 17 knots. You know, that's huge. And especially when you have, you know, all the typical boat stutters sort of clutter around the boat. Like, I would definitely want to get like a really good runway onto this left-hand side and start really well. And at least then, you're punched out, right? You should be able to cross, I think, because of this positive current, but you typically want to be looking at this section, these guys, and see, okay, do I have a lot of space to work with in my start? So I'll sort of elaborate on that as the start goes on. But I personally think the left's favored. I think people who start left here are going to be winning the race. Maybe middle. Yeah, I could argue middle. If you sort of start here, start to have control over the boats over here, and get like a good runway, then you're also good. I can also understand what Cad Monkey's doing. He wants to get like a nice runway into here and swoop in, and then he should have control. Maybe Josu DC will be able to do that too. Basically, if you're able to have a good runway here, like, so I'm going to pause actually, because in this situation, I talked about how, you know, it'd be good because you're usually going to have like a cluster of people by the boat. That's not the case. I think a lot of people are actually saying, oh, so left is definitely favored, so I'm going to start more left. So that cluster to the boat is actually moving farther left, they're pressuring each other farther left. So that did not happen. So my prediction now is that Josu DC, assuming he can get to the line on time, is going to be in a very good position, and pretty much everyone except for Orcam, Orcam looks like he has enough runway, but everyone except for him is going to be in a very poor position, I think, just from this snapshot here. So let's check that out. 2, 2, 1. Yeah, Orcam starts, kind of botches it a little bit, but that's fine. Yeah, and these guys that started at the boat because they have runway, they're able to do that. So you really don't want to get tangled up with other people in cats, especially. And even Orcam is because GR Guz actually had a good start, so Orcam in normal circumstances could actually tag out here and possibly cross Josu, but now he's kind of trapped out because there's all this positive current. So basically, Cad Monkey kind of controls the race right now. What he can do is sort of go on his lay, and then everyone else is immediately behind him because they have to go against this current pushing up the course. If Cad Monkey overlays, though, he might lose out to Smitty right here. He goes, right about on lay. I think a little bit under. So Josu might actually catch up to him here, but based on the results of what I've seen earlier, and based on the fact that Cad Monkey's about to approach this win line here before Josu does, I'd argue that Cad is probably the better boat here, but it's really close. Smithy tacks, and that's not gonna cause Josu to attack. What happens here? How does Josu get into second? Because Cad Monkey currently cannot tack. If he does, he's okay. Well, at least he has enough room. At least Josu has enough room to tack, right? In heavier air, it matters a little bit less. If you, oh my God, yo, can we go back to that? Orcam, who is this guy? I have never heard of this guy, and he's making moves like this. This is so sick. Ready for this? I want you to. Okay, that wasn't sick. That wasn't sick. Usually that merits an auto dock, but I think, honestly, like what he does here makes up for it because he's going so fast right now, right? So he's like, okay, I gotta chill. I gotta think about this for a second. There's either going to be a gap that opens up because this current is pushing up against this mark. That's likely. But you never know, a bunch of boats might tack onto each other, this might be closed. So I'll probably have to go around. Or I wait for that gap I mentioned open up, and I just sort of sneak in there, but that's going to require, since I have so much speed, to tack early. So he actually goes for it. This is kind of the point of no return. That's so sick. How does he have the presence of mind to notice that Ratherby is tacking but won't catch him in time? That's honestly so sick. So, GR Guz, okay, if GR Guz quick tacks here, he's done. Like, that's so amazing to me. But he doesn't, so that he's so lucky. And so he tacks early here because not only do you have the pressure pushing him in this direction, it's going to help him avoid the mark, but he also needs to, he's going so fast, so if he tacks later, as soon as he passes the mark, he's going to just hit all these people, right? But like I said, this gap opens up. You just need to play it well, right? He does. He plays it so well. Look how much room he has in between him and the mark. And that's such good presence of mind, saying that, hey, I am going to be able to beat Ratherby to this. He probably figures that like Ratherby is probably going to have to duck down to face against this current too. I think, honestly, underrated move. Really sick by Orcam. Anyway, back to the front runners. Josu, DC, and Cad Monkey. How does Josu get into second here? I guess Cad Monkey kind of has control. Oh, that's a mistake. That's a flop. Oh, geez. Okay, so I can sort of see he doesn't have a great downwind, does he? Cad Monkey, are you going to go around the other end? Oh, okay, that's how it happens. So let's go back to that, because that's actually kind of important, especially in like heavier air. How much wind is this? Is this 16? Like, you could borderline on maybe dropping the spinnaker if you're not confident in your setting abilities. Josu clearly isn't here. He runs the risk of breaking Rule 15 there, but Cad Monkey's able to avoid promptly, so it's fine. Let's watch this, right? Josu's entering this, And what I would say is a pretty narrow angle given a few circumstances. One, you got current pushing up, right? So you want to dig deeper to make sure you're not hitting the mark as you round up. And two, when you dig deeper, you're going to leave this gap here. Especially since you're going so fast, it's going to be very hard to make like a good tight rounding, but also account for the current. Cat Monkey, I think, has a much better position in terms of like his rounding plan. He's going to be able to like really take his time and sort of swoop in at a little bit of a less than of a narrow angle and take advantage of that. So that's kind of what happens here. Josu has to like really dig deep down, and also doesn't like. I think he actually misplays here. Okay, yeah. I don't know. Alright. I have a few words to say about Josu, but every time you round a leeward mark in any boat, right, you should be tack canceling. Anytime. You should not be using up arrows like that. I don't know why he still does. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe he wants to shut up the gap. But if he tack cancels, then he does anyway. So that's how he gets into second. I'm pretty sure he stays into second for the rest of the race. He says, "Wow." Yeah, I know, you made that's a huge mistake. And it's really hard to pass people downwind on cats. He tries, but why does he? Whoa, 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 whoa! This guy is number what 4 in the power ranks? What the hell? I'm not trying to shit on this guy, but so he has him in a pretty like this. I would consider this a vice grip right here. This is such a sick position if you're the guy covering, right? He jibes off. You wait, and then you jibe off with him. Next thing you know, you're pretty much overlapped with him, preventing him from jibing back. Right? This is so sick. This is like the prime spot for your wind shadow to be on a guy. Right? So what happens here? He luffs. And then stays luffed for like 4 seconds. 5 seconds. 6 seconds. Oh my god. But how do you... And then he like tries to follow up. Oh my god. Does this guy know how to high set? Does he just struggle with it? What angle's he at? 156, so a good angle. It's a good angle. You want to be at 158. Now he's roughly there. So yeah, good stuff. Another thing to point about that last downwind, I feel like you either want to be in this wind. You probably want to be in this wind line. If you're not in the wind line, then you're kind of sucking it out. You could argue that there's less current out here, but I think downwind and cat's wind's just a lot more important. Any other interesting finishes? Nothing looks like nothing of note. Yeah, no. Interesting race. Interesting race. Really sick move by Orcam. I like it. Sick presence of mind. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I like it a lot. I hope the internet's not crapping out on me. Okay. So this is another interesting one. You got like not too much shift bias right now, -2, slightly left favored, but like a little bit more wind out here, which matters so much in skiffs. You got a difference between like 12.5, 12, yeah, roughly that, right? And it's increasing as you go up here, right? But you also got more current. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? I would personally play the fleet in this case, kind of like I would with cats. So basically, just go where people aren't at, right? At 45 seconds, it looks like everyone's setting up to get this boat start. I'm just gonna try to get a good runway at the pin. If everyone's trying to get a good runway at the pin, just be like, I'm gonna start boat, see what happens. Just getting a good runway, because getting punched out in these like really even course situations, getting as many options as you can is gonna be so important. And you got some nice, a little bit more wind coming up down here, a little puff here. I don't know how long that's going to last, or if it's even going to really make it to any relevant parts of the course, but yeah, so what you see is like these guys all lingering. Very clearly, I think we have a coalition of people now trying to start the boat. Could be wrong. A lot could change in 30 minutes and 30 seconds. But I don't know what Matt's doing down. Oh, he says there's a lot of lag. Okay, watch this. HKG is going to adhere to one of my principles. This is basically take everything and give nothing. I don't know if he's actually going to do this, but I would have quick tack here and then just like had a lot of runway to work with here. He probably sees this wind coming through, which, you know, honestly, if I seen that, I probably would if I were paying closer attention. Then I would probably try to change my start strategy like that. But he's set up to go here, then sees this wind coming in, and is like, okay, I'm going to change my start strategy. It's worth it, even though I'm at 13 seconds. Sometimes in like heavier air situations, you can't be afraid to do that. Is he going to be able to... Okay, he crosses Cat Monkey. He's going to quick tack here and get some good runway, so I like this a lot. Josie DC is kind of a sitting duck, so he can just kind of ramp it up. One. Oh, that is nice. Hits the line very well there. I would have liked to have knocked GR Guz over before tacking, but I can get on board with it because now you lock out Josu DC from tacking, possibly. So honestly, both choices are fine. It's like you kind of pick and choose between who do you want. Do you want to be controlling Josu DC and having GR Guz control you, or punching out GR Guz and then having to deal with Josu DC later? He indicates that he needs room to attack. This is super important. So like you don't want to actually get into a Rule 20 situation. Those are so messy on CLX. So he indicates that he may need room to attack, right? One, because the thing doesn't really work that well, and two, because you know, it gives them something to think about. It drives people's focus off kind of holding out the person and recognizing, hey, they might actually need to tack away, and I need to comply with the rules. It gets in their brain a bit quicker, you know. So in this case, he's going to hail. GR Guz is going to comply. Very nice. It's all pretty standard. Smitty looks like he's controlling the fleet right now. Because even though he's just in worst current, this worst current is also going to be driving... Actually, maybe... No, it's Josu... Josu is laying. God, I am so off tonight. I thought the current would be driving Josu down enough that he wouldn't be laying here. But I think maybe even GR Guz. GR Guz, I think, and Josu are both laying. I think especially with this right-hand ship that's coming in. Yeah, so they're both laying. I thought Smitty was controlling the fleet. I think maybe if the shift had stayed, he would have been. But GR Guz and Josu got like a nice lift. Cad Monkey, if he tacks a little earlier here, then he'd be, I think, pretty punched out of GR Guz, and he'd be in a better position, but kind of gets dragged into the wind shadow. JP, I like the idea, but you just don't have the gap. Orcam, oh my god, I like this a lot. I like who this Orcam kid is. He recognizes that JP is kind of left up like this, and he's like, I got a gap, peace. And even though you're sailing into his wind shadow like that, it's only his wind shadow, so it's not terrible. And it's shorter distance, like, especially since like you've kind of established that right-hand side right now is winning. So that kind of unlocks, if he wants to cut on inside, like, let's say there's someone above him, he kind of has the positioning to kind of round the mark and get to that right-hand side before the other person does. So I like that. I like the cheeky little play there. So that was tough. It's like, yeah, I agree with the fact that, like, you know, it was a hard call at the pre-start, but, you know, that the gust of wind that came in definitely was very decisive in determining who was going to get punched out at the first leg. So hard to say until last second, but yeah, right hand side won in that situation. Gonna be interesting. I would say right hand side wins again because it has a more positive shift, and it looks like it's not getting any more negative. So right hand side shift. So yeah, front runners are basically going to be rounding the mark toward the right. I agree with all that. Josu tacks away and then tacks back. Don't agree with that. I don't agree with getting an attacking duel with him either, GR, because you got Cad Monkey to worry about. Cad Monkey's kind of just like, I'm just going to be here chilling. You also, yeah, it's just like, Orcam's also now the first after this wind here. That was not very good. I would have just stuck it out, Josu. And GR, like, you know, don't be like that. Stop trying to cover the fleet. Not such a huge deal, though. I think Orcam doesn't really gain a whole lot on Josu from this. He might be able to knock him off and have him tack, but really doesn't, yeah, that doesn't happen. And GR just kind of covers both of them, which is, you know, is smart. If you're Josu, you want to get out of there. If you're Orcam, you want to get out of there, you know, because then you got to worry about, like, Pradiri and Matt coming up, and you don't want to be slowed in this wind shadow consistently. I do not agree with that tack, Cad. I would have liked to have gone out toward this puff and then try to play it from there, instead of sitting in GR does wind shadow. Orcam kind of has a crash there. And I want to see this last downwind because, you know, downwinds and skiffs are relatively interesting if played correctly. Cad and Josu. Everyone's luffing accidentally. I don't get what it is. Is this like a 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock GMT regatta thing where you just like luff on random? I don't know. Interestingly enough, they aren't being. None of them are being slowed. Might just be like a graphical error. What is this with this? Oh, maybe. Oh, maybe they were avoiding capsizing. Yeah, that's probably what it is. If you're Josu, why not cover Cad Monkey more aggressively? I don't get it. If you're anyone, why not cover them a little bit more aggressively? You have like enough speed and wind to work with, so that you're not really losing out on other competitors. But you know, also enough wind shadow power to cover them and slow them down. So that is race 3, last race. We got Biggs. Starting to lose focus. It's late. And I gotta get up tomorrow morning, so sorry if I seem a little out of it. But so far, lots of wind on the right, not much pressure differential. Right's definitely favored. But you know, in Biggs, if you get punched out, you're looking good. So, let's see. Personally, I would like to start mid here, because every single time in Biggs, you know, typically does not work out very well for them. They just get slow starts. So, let's see. So Matt is kind of setting up to try to hold this ley line. I think, like in Biggs, you want some runway. You want to be able to go. You want to be able to sort of reach around a little bit. So maybe his end goal is to start mid. But this is interesting. You typically want to like zoom around at the start, kind of like what Ratherby is doing right now. So now he's kind of changing it up. 20 seconds ago, he stalled out there. I don't like this. right? He can get hooked by Cad Monkey if he's not careful. Now he just doesn't have enough room to really start. Like he's going so much for this boat, but really he's just getting trapped behind people with not a lot of runway at the very end, and he's just gonna get rolled over. It works out alright for him, but I personally would prefer a start that has more focus on runway, especially when you tack off like that, because the people that tack off with like lots more starting speed are going to beat you out. But decent position for him. Could have been a lot worse. He's in better air. I guess HKG got lucky. I think he was one of the port starters and sort of saw that everyone sort of tacked off early, and so he took advantage of that. So maybe if you're Matt, you want to try to control HKG before letting him sort of duck and weave you like that. Otherwise, that's fine. Let's see, let's speed up a little bit here. So he tacks. Josu just kind of has the better angle. He gets like a nice left shift. So he's going to be out. Oh, he's going to give that up to HKG actually. And then just barely misses Orcam. That's pretty sick. So now Josu's kind of controlling Orcam. But Orcam, I don't know. Maybe he'll be able to control Matt. I'm not sure about this. Really reaches down to try to do so, though. Yeah, that's pretty much the play. I would have liked to have tried to tack in front of HKG. Let's go back to that, actually. If you're Josu, I would have liked to have tacked in front of HKG there. Because it's small, but you have some wind. It's like, not wind, current going up the course. Like that, it's pushing you up. HKG tacks onto this lay. Like, it's really overlay, right? You're gonna go from here to here. It's not parallel to this line at all. And it's not as if you're gonna get a major left shift from there. So not only is HKG overlay, but you also have wind pushing, like current pushing him more in this direction. So if you're Josu, I think you don't duck HKG in this situation. I actually think you tack right here. Right here. He's already on lay, right? He tacks here. HKG's got some serious work to do to fight against the current. And in terms of like catching people, and what have you. But instead, Josie kind of opts to duck him, which I don't agree with. I think you got good positioning here. He might roll over you, but at least you're ahead. You're more ahead of Orcam. You don't have work to do on Orcam and Matt, right? So yeah, I would have liked to see an early tack there, but instead he ducks, which is risky because you got Orcam just immediately attacking right there, and then he barely tacks in time. So yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with it, and at this point he kind of runs the risk of not only Orcam kind of punching him out, which he easily deals with because he's able to attack right over him, but he's got the problem of Matt because Matt is now punching toward there. And he's going to be following around, around the mark, he's going to be immediately behind him. So I think he could have been in a much better position here if he just, tacked early. Because of the current, and because HKG really just overlaid a lot. So yeah, not the greatest lay from all players involved. This current, I think, is enough to make a difference on that. If you're Josu, I would jibe out here. I wouldn't be sitting in Matt's wind shadow right here. But that's also just my opinion. Especially since you probably want to round this gate anyway. Slightly more current out here, and there's not much wind differential. HKG, it's really interestingly takes the right gate. I can see it working out because this way you have one less tack. But like I said, I think it's slightly more advantageous to be out in the left, just from a pure standpoint. I think left gate was the correct choice here. See if HKG overlays here again. Looks like he's going to. Which is really going to help Josu. I think if Josu catches on to that, like, this is so overlay. You kidding me? And then it's going to start shifting back. If Josu attacks, like, right here, HKG's got ground to make up on him. Because Josu's... Don't be fooled. Josu's going to lay, like, here. Because he goes towards this mark, pressure's going to be pushing him up. You can always sort of luff up, because the pressure's going to help him. Attacks right here, he's going to make it. And HKG kind of has to play catch-up. But instead, Josu just decides to go toward where HKG is at. Matt, with what I think is the more correct choice, just sort of tacking on Lei, kind of waiting last minute to then go up and eat that wind shadow. You're just sailing less distance that way, right? Yeah, you have some runway around the mark, but I don't agree with it. I personally, like, that's 2 times where, like, HKG has overlaid and Josu has, like, purposely gone to him instead of tacking onto Lei. Or, like, a little bit above Lei. Like, you don't need to be tacking as above Lei as HKG is here, you know? So, all in all, interesting regatta. Matt, I'm sorry I haven't been able to focus on you as much as I did with, like, let's say Josu in this case. I was more interested in seeing how Josu raced, but hope I gave you some helpful insight by, like, pointing out some of his mistakes, just pointing out some of your mistakes as well. You did a lot of correct things. I just think there were probably some few mistakes at the start. You kind of start out a little bit low on the starting line, a little bit too late. I think that's what hurts you. Based on, like, you know, what the starts I saw, you could always use a little bit more reach runway at the start to build up some speed. It's always good. I think you could benefit off that here. And mind the current. Don't overlay. Be conscious of fleet positioning at the start, at 30 seconds before the start. Constantly look around you. Those are kind of the themes from today's racing. So I hope this was helpful for Matt and for all the viewers. Tune in to see when I do this next time. I don't know when that's going to be, but there's going to be a next time. So this is Yahoo signing out.